Welcome to the Emporium Outdoors. My name is Michael, and let me tell you all about this new refrigerator from ICECO. So before you click away and get disinterested, let me tell you a little bit about this fridge, because it's not a regular refrigerator. Lots of reviews online for different refrigerators, and I've done a few myself, and I've shown you some of my insights, but this one's a little bit different, and I'll come to that in a second. Let me tell you what it appears to be. So it's a refrigerator from ICECO. It's a 20-litre refrigerator, very nicely decked out with this. It's almost like a pearlescent white, actually quite beautiful. My wife loves it. Has a simple lid opening that locks, and when powered up, it has a light inside. We'll come to that in a second, and some basic controls on the top here. The weight is around 10 kilos, so it's got a little bit of heft to it, but you'd expect that. For the power, it can either be powered with 12 volts or 24 volts. Very interesting that they switched to that as well, so it could be used in maybe a boat perhaps. And also through 110, through an adapter. So I've been running this refrigerator now for about 4 weeks, and I've used it on a few different occasions. And as a refrigerator, works fantastically, just as you'd expect. The controls on the top are very simple. It has a simple display, on-off button, a gear wheel button, and some way to control the temperature, as you would expect. And as you might see on the front here, we've got these QR codes, and these are to connect the app. So it is app connected. Another great feature to have on something like this. So the temperature range on this refrigerator is +10 Celsius to -18 degrees Celsius, which is pretty typical of a freezer type of temperature. So you can keep frozen things. So this is where the magic happens. So there's another temperature scale, which goes from +22 degrees Celsius all the way up to +55 degrees Celsius. So not only is this a refrigerator, it also is a warmer. So it's going to keep your food nice and warm. But Michael, I hear you ask, why would I possibly need a refrigerator that keeps things warm? So I live in Canada, and we live in about 6 months of winter, give or take. Depends which latitude you're at. But typically we're cold half the time of the year. So a refrigerator out camping isn't actually necessary. One of the things you need to do when you're out camping is stop your stuff from freezing. If you watch some of my camping videos during winter, I have a cooler with me. And it's a normal Coleman cooler. And I don't actually keep stuff in there to keep it cool. I try and keep things warm to stop them freezing. So this fridge actually serves double duty. My refrigerators typically go away when I'm not camping in wintertime, and they're stored away and I don't get to use them. I'll use a plain old plastic cooler, and I have a trick where I keep in a hand warmer, electric hand warmer inside. So the ICECO solves a problem that I didn't know there was a solution to, a refrigerator that also acts as a warmer. But now I have a device that can keep my water from freezing, my camera equipment from freezing. So the benefit to this is it's a regulated temperature, so I can put all my equipment inside it, as well as maybe water and a few other things, and keep it at a specific temperature. But that's kind of a Michael case scenario, so it's not going to apply to many other people, I'm sure. So if you are an overland camper with a Jeep or a truck or whichever, and you do winter camping, this is going to be pretty good for you to have to make sure that all your perishables don't freeze. So you can put fruit in here, you can put your bread, etc., etc. Another use case that we came up with recently is we had a few guests over for dinner, and we didn't have enough space to keep everything warm. So we took the rolls out of the oven when they were ready, and we actually put them straight into the ICECO. We set the temperature to 55 degrees Celsius, and actually kept those rolls perfect temperature when the guests arrived for dinner. So another use case for the ICECO is we go to friends' houses on occasion, especially towards Christmas, where we take some baked goods with us, and we've been popping them in the ICECO. We crank it up to about 50 degrees Celsius, and that keeps all the pastries, etc., to that perfect temperature. So when we get there, we can just plug it into the wall. It'll keep them nice and warm, and then people can come and grab them at the perfect temperature. They're not going to be sat out on a table somewhere where they cool down, and they lose that straight out of the oven flavor. So just to go over with what's in the box, here's your power cable. So you have the basic type of 12-volt cigarette lighter, and they all seem to use this kind of similar plug. So that's a straight for the 12-volt, 24-volt. However, if you want to plug it into the wall, they give you this brick, which I wasn't 100% behind initially. but it does allow you to put it into a 110 or 240 volt if you're in the UK, or 220 volt if you're in Europe, and this will convert it out to your 12 volt. So I don't necessarily like external bricks, but I kind of understand why they did it in this fashion. So I would say the majority of these refrigerators run their lives on basically 12 volts when they're being used, and they don't use the wall power very often. How often are you going to use a portable refrigerator in the house? Probably rare, I would say. So I can understand why they took all the power components out the side of this thing to make it as light as possible. Less things to go wrong, to be honest. And they just use the 12 volt for the majority of the power supply. The benefit of that is obviously the refrigerator is lighter because those power components are external, and the power supply is probably one of the most likely things to fail in most devices, and you've got an external one, so you can actually just buy an external one without taking the whole thing apart. So it actually simplifies the electronics considerably. The downside is that the brick can get lost, forgotten, etc., so you're just going to have to keep track of that. So let's take a quick look around the refrigerator. So we have a nice lid, locking lid, and I'm very pleased to see it's actually a soft close as well. That's a very nice touch. All the controls are centrally along here. We have the QR codes for the app, obviously. On the side we have a nice recessed handle. Very nice to see an external fuse here that you can go in and service very easily. This is a 15 amp fuse, and it's a regular automotive full-size fuse, and that plug on the side. Lots of venting ports on the side again, and this is such a beautiful color. It's iridescent almost. On the other side, obviously the handle to match the other side so you can lift it easily. And then we're back to the front again. So I'm going to go ahead and power this guy up. So I'm just pop the power cable in. So I've just plugged it into my small power station. This is the Anker C300 and it's at 75%. So let's power up the unit. So I've got it set to 5 degrees Celsius, and you can probably hear the fridge compressor kick in about now. So according to the display, we're pulling about 34 watts at the moment. Why it's going ahead and cooling down. It's not a great idea to cool down an empty fridge because you really need something to cool down, so it's going to hold that temperature. So hopefully you can hear how loud the compressor is. It's actually very quiet. I'll just be quiet for a second. Yeah, that's not terrible at all. One of the features I really like about this fridge is that they put some guidance on the top. See, a lot of fridges have that. Some troubleshooting steps as well, what the error codes mean, and also a breakdown of the components. So like a little schematic in there, which is really nice, and some basic information about the usage of the power. Nice to see that. So the height inside is around 9 inches. The width is about 9.5. And the diameter, I would say, is around 13 inches. So getting back to these QR codes, this is what it links to. This is the application that they use. And from here, I can go in. I can see the current temperature of the refrigerator. I can see what it's actually set to and the scale, etc. I can see whether it's in eco mode or whether it's in the cooling mode. I can turn it on and off. And one really nice thing that I did notice was the battery protection. So if you plug these refrigerators into your vehicle and you leave it for the day, the last thing you want to do is come back to cool beverages and a flat battery. So this will actually turn off at different levels, high, medium and low, depending on your battery threshold. So it's going to protect your vehicle from getting a drained battery, and it's obviously going to stop the refrigerator from operating, but I think that's better than being stranded with a flat battery. You can also switch it from Celsius to Fahrenheit if you live in an imperial country, meaning America. So another nice thing is you can actually share the application with somebody else. So if you and your partner have the app, then you can both use it. You're not tied to one device. And that's a really well thought out feature. So we're down to about 16 degrees and we're pulling about 43 watts. The unit is rated as a 50 watt unit, so that's where it probably limits out. So anywhere below 50 sounds good to me. So the ICECO switched across now to the heating function, and I can see the lights have changed to let you know. When the heating function's enabled, the lights actually change to orange, the display, rather than the white or bluish type of tinge colors of the other numbers. One thing of interest is, though the manual limits this unit to 50 watts, I can actually see it's pulling about 68 watts on my little power station there. So the numbers are slightly out, I would say. So this is a very tiny power station. As you can see, it's DC only. It's only at 75%, and I can run this heated for, give or take, about 3 hours, 2.8 hours. So that's pretty good. Obviously in a vehicle, if you're driving around, you've got somewhat unlimited power. Obviously with a small power station like this, I can run this for almost 3 hours to keep things warm, which is sufficient for what I need to do. With a big power station like my C1000, I could probably run this thing for probably a couple of days on the heating cycle. So my overall thoughts on the ICECO is it's a very unique product, which I think will appeal to specific people. If you're looking for something that's going to also cool as well as heat, then this might be the product for you. If you live in those colder climates like myself and you want to use something or buy something you can use all year round, this is much better value for money than a typical refrigerator. Or if you're someone that transports food to friends and family on the regular basis and you want to keep it nice and warm for them, this would be a great option for you. And in the summertime, you could put cool things in too. So this will run double duty. So my experience over the last 4 weeks with this unit has been very good. I've had no hiccups whatsoever. I really like the app design. I'm looking forward to taking this on one of my cold camping trips and to see how it holds up, because I haven't done that part yet. But for what we have been using it for, it's worked very, very well, and I've been very happy with it. So I think the product is a really good choice for someone that's going to go overland in. They want a smaller refrigerator that they can quickly zip across and put it into a heater, for instance. I think this actually fills that niche quite well. The build quality is very good. It uses nice solid hinges, for instance. The addition of the light inside is, once you've had a light inside, it's a must. So I like the form factor as well. I think it's just the right size for a smaller weekend camping trip. So you're going to pay a little bit more for the warming function, but I think it's actually worth it if you're in a colder climate. The warranty is a 5-year warranty on the compressor, so you've got that peace of mind. The regular warranty is for all the other parts, which is a year. But really, the most expensive part to repair in this would be the compressor. So the 5-year warranty is very welcome indeed. Overall, I really like the refrigerator. I'm going to be taking it with me on some trips, so you'll see it in my future videos, and I'll keep feeding back to let you know how it's performing, so we can see some of the longer term review type stuff coming from the channel. So that's all I've got for now. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and until next time, take care. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, leave me a comment, maybe a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.